Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's Algonquin Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who was here. I just want to take a minute, have everybody rise for a moment of silence for Neil Cronin, a longtime teacher here at this fantastic school, and a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. If we could all remain rise and look to the flag on the other side of the room, and join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Again, thank you for being here. I'd like to welcome our superintendent, Christine Johnson, who joined us today, and also our new principal, Dr. Sarah Walsh, who has made a flawless, and I mean flawless, transition from a Golden Eagle to an Algonquin T-Hawk. So please, our new principal here at Algonquin. You know, I spent many days at my desk at work, and I was going to write a speech for this moment, but then I realized, like Abraham Lincoln when he wrote his Gettysburg Address, there's nothing that I can add or detract to this event. It is all about these athletes that we're honoring into the hall today, their accomplishments in the field of play, in the classroom, as students here at Algonquin. Some of them span different age groups. It's phenomenal that they're here today. Their accomplishments are great, both in the classroom and on the field. So once again, a round of applause for our inductees. So on that note, I'd like to invite Fran Whitten up to the podium. And for a quick moment before I do that, the table over here is our Hall of Fame committee. Before I invite Fran, is a quick round of applause if they could stand, our Hall of Fame committee. Thank you. And again, thank you to Fran Whitten and Susan Burns, who are the heartbeat of the athletic program here and the heartbeat of the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the 10th annual biannual Algonquin Regional Athletics Hall of Fame. I'm excited, honored, and privileged to have been given this opportunity to be back to serve as your MC for the day. I must admit, honestly, I didn't really expect to be here, but things work in mysterious ways. If I could have picked a class to honor, this is the one. We are inducting a truly outstanding class that exemplifies what Algonquin T-Hawk pride is all about. First, I would like to recognize and thank some very important people. Thank you to Dr. Sarah Walsh, our new principal, whose boundless energy and enthusiasm has rejuvenated everyone she works with. Sarah will be making some remarks later on in the ceremony. Rob Berger, our Hall of Committee Chair, and our committee members for their efforts and support in putting this together on what was very short notice. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Stan Geiges and his family for the wonderful meal we're about to have. Emily Philbin, an English teacher and a 4-time state champion girls rugby coach, for editing all of your profiles and making them work for both the program and your plaques. The members of the Athletic Council, who are here today for their dedication to Algonquin athletics and our proud tradition. And Mrs. Susan Burns for keeping me in check and for putting all the pieces together in order for this event to occur. I caution you that sometimes I go off script, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ceremony that should probably conclude around 5 p.m. Actually, I'll make an attempt to keep it brief, and based on the calls I received from many of our inductees saying, do I have to speak? I'm presuming that they'll be relatively brief as well. At this point, I would like to ask our superintendent of schools, Christine Johnson, whose love, passion, and support for Algonquin is unmatched. Christine?
Well, good morning. I think it's still morning. Fran made sure I realized I had 1 minute because I stand between you and lunch, of course. So I would like to welcome one and all to this very, very exciting day, to congratulate all of our 2017 Hall of Fame inductees, and to share with you that there are many of those folks who support T-Hawk Nation, who have T-Hawk pride, that are not with us today. And so let's just take pause and remember those who are not able to attend today. Wonderful celebration for whatever reason. So Fran and I did have an opportunity to work together many, many years ago, and it's nice to reconnect with Fran. It's also a real pleasure to have Dr. Walsh part of our school community. She has brought renewed energy and appreciation for the love that we all feel for Algonquin Regional High School and the pride that we feel each and every day, not only on the field of play, but in our classrooms and in our hallways. And so I would like to thank those two individuals specifically, but certainly everyone for making today happen. It is most appropriate that we celebrate the contribution of today's recipients, whether it is as a player, a coach, or an advocate for athletics. Today, as it is our tradition, on the Friday after Thanksgiving. And when I started to think about why Friday after Thanksgiving, I really appreciated what that meant. In the same way that we gathered yesterday around a table, perhaps with family and friends, today we gather around mini tables to give thanks, to spend time with our T-Hawk family, reminiscing and honoring our past, joyfully acknowledging the present, and with great anticipation looking forward to the future. And you are all so much a part of the past, the present, and where we will be going many years from now. The contributions that you have made and the legacy you leave exemplifies the very skills and characteristics we still seek to instill in all of our students and our athletes today. You may have played on a diamond, a court, or a track, and in a gym or on a field, but you learn through continuous practice and playing the game that these skills are developed over time. You learn this as athletes and as individuals. Athletics teaches skills and builds strength of character that will help win at the game of life. Creative thinking, collaboration, communication, and problem solving, and what is equally and even more important today, the notion that commitment is meaningful, that communication, perseverance, and resilience are the keys to success. On behalf of the Northborough-Southborough Regional School Committee and the district, I congratulate all our new inductees and acknowledge the contributions that you have made to our athletic program. I would be amiss if I did not also extend our gratitude to the booster organization and to all the alumni members who for years and years have supported athletics here and to support today's celebration and other celebrations throughout the year, as well as our entire athletic program. And that is why, moreover, today it is equally important to share our thanks. Because of your efforts, we will be exploring opportunities that I would like to move forward and extend to you an invitation to join us in the Regional School Committee and administration in developing a very comprehensive campaign to invite renewal and expansion of our athletic complex. It is said that athletics is not always about victory, but the experience. And I am confident that as we work together to build this complex, that as one, we will continue to provide a T-Hawk athletic program upon which the experience makes a win possible. So thank you very much for everything that you do, for your continued support, for the support of our students in many varied ways. Congratulations again to the inductees. You have made a significant difference in the lives of students for many years to come. So I hope you enjoy your day, the remaining portion of this program, and certainly, while my 5 o'clock calls for snow days are not well received, my sharing with you at approximately noon that we're about to eat is. So please, enjoy.
I want to thank the Geiges family for an absolutely delicious lunch. It was wonderful. Thank you. And now for the reason we're really all here. First up is an individual with a long history in the town of Northborough. As you can see from his profile, Chet Leonard, in addition to being an outstanding athlete while at Algonquin, wrote our school fight song and has dedicated many years of his life to the community of Northborough. Chet, can you please come forward to say a few words? Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. I really was overwhelmed by this nomination. I really felt that there were many in my class who were better athletes and better leaders than I, but I'm accepting this both for myself and for my class. Three of the members I have here today, Ted Davis, who was the vice president, we played football and football and basketball together. Gertie Bennett, we played football together, and Gertie, every time Coach Walsh, God bless him, I hear he was the game yesterday, 86 years old, wanted to sick somebody on me in practice. He sicked Gertie on me, and I'll tell you, it was, and then Maureen Ellsworth, another classmate, her husband, Charlie, passed away, Sergeant, who was a tackle on our football team, and they represent. In our day, we were lucky. We were part of the John F. Kennedy generation. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. We were lucky to have that creed predominant because most of us went on after our college experience with Teddy to India, Kathmandu and all that wonderful stuff. Gertie in the Army, and Mo with a lifetime of service in nursing. And I spent, after college, 6 years on 3 different Indian reservations in northern Minnesota, where it got something way to 45 below zero and so on. But all of us lived our lives with dedication and to community and service above self. And I really think what was generated by that, if you look at the Algonquin Regional School Song, if you look at the lyrics in it, which I was lucky enough to write with Kathy Healy, those lyrics speak to not only which was growing in that era, we were the second class to graduate, but in reading the bios here of all you tremendous nominees, I can see that spirit, even though it's not sung as much as it should be and whatever, is alive in you and communicated both in your experience at Algonquin and with your experience after Algonquin, and I think that's wonderful. And I was gifted enough to, also I'll be short, but it's been so many years. I've got 2 sons who Mike played Algonquin football, and he's finished his 7th year in semi-pro football, playing at the highest level, Division I. And Chris is his 3rd year. And Mike still wears the number that I had in high school playing for Algonquin, so tradition continues. And then I want to particularly thank Bobby Cooley and his brother, Mr. Griffin, Bill. I had the great fortune to be able to work and counsel and be their coach for a while, and to see them grow and now giving back to the community, whether in coaching or teaching, tells me that spirit of community is still alive, and I want to praise it and reinforce it. And hi, Griffin family, all of you. All of you. And then I guess last but not least, I want to tell you about when you go by the Northborough Memorial Field, what you see is a beautiful facility now. absolutely gorgeous with lights and everything like that. But I grew up in the days when we were having 50 teams coming to tournaments there. When it was 95 degrees in the middle of the summer for 2 or 3 weeks, and we had to lug hoses from the facility across the street to the Little League field to water it down every night at 12 or 1, just so the fields would be good enough to play. We didn't have a lot of money back then. T.J. Fitzgerald, thank God, if anybody knows him, dedicated the lights to the Little League field, which Mike pitched in the first game. And it was just a cooperative effort with little money. I really think that the spirit of using your own sweat equity makes a big difference. Money helps, but what we did, I think, we still remember. And to look at the facility now, it's a great thing. So I'm sorry for taking so long, but I wanted to tell you that there's history here. It's alive. Well, I thank you for reaching back, whoever, to remember my being there. And if there's one wish that I could have in leaving you is that the school song be resurrected and practiced and become what I think the internals of what these athletes possess. Thank you very much.
Hold on, stay up here for 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Just move over to the side. Thank you very much, Chet. I do have members of the Athletic Council. They're going to grab pieces of cake and bring them around because I know some of you feel funny about getting up during a ceremony, so they're going to be our waiters and waitresses and bring some cake around to the tables. I've asked Chet to stay up here because Rob Berger and Jack Kane wanted to come up and make a special presentation.
Chad, it's great to see you up here. As we met in our meetings to induct folks into the Hall of Fame, and your name came to our committee, we all looked at each other and said, you know something? Here is a special man. He has that spirit in his heart that will live forever for Algonquin. So it was my pleasure to have Jack say a few words and present you with the Spirit Award from the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
I'm honored to present the inaugural Spirit Award for Community Service to Chet Leonard. I've had the good fortune to have known Chet for over a decade, and the one thing you'll find about Chet, beyond his devotion to our community, is that he hates talking about himself and is not fond of being the center of attention. So I'll also keep my remarks about Chet brief. Some of you met Chet in his role as a teacher and guidance counselor in Northborough schools, where he served for over 30 years. Some of you may have met Chet as the official scorer at Northborough Little League games, situated behind home plate at the scorer's shack, where he dispensed wisdom along with pitch counts to coaches, and where Chet always had kind words and a smile for kids. Maybe you were lucky enough to have Chet as a coach for fall baseball or senior Babe Ruth, or if you're old enough, to have played with him. Chet has also been an active member of his church congregation for decades. And lastly, as you've heard, Chet wrote the alma mater song that you marched to at graduation for all you T-Hawk graduates. Spanning academia to athletics to music, Chet embodies the designation Renaissance man. And the recurring theme throughout all his accomplishments in life, beyond his devotion to his wonderful family, is that Chet does this all in a selfless service to literally thousands in our community. The reach of Chet's impact is that profound. And on a personal note, to show how Chet is regarded in my family, my son Patrick asked Chet to be his sponsor for confirmation. I can think of no greater recognition of Chet as a positive mentor to young athletes than that. I once bought a successories card for my wife, and we still have it, and it's framed in our den. Its title is Priorities, and it reads, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car that I drove. But the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. Chet embodies that philosophy perfectly. So for his legacy of service to our community, I wholeheartedly echo the sentiment of the ARHS Hall of Fame Committee to recognize Chet for his contributions and to wish him a hearty congratulations on being a most worthy first recipient of this wonderful award. Ladies and gentlemen, Chester Chet Leonard. You're very welcome. Absolutely. Hey, you keep this with you, okay? That's for you.
We have one inductee who could not join us today. His family has relocated, as has he, to Atlanta, Georgia. They will be spending the holidays together and could not make it back here today. One of my goals for the Hall of Fame is to have the absolute best of the best from each sport inducted. Brian Cook fits that description. He is at the top of the list when it comes to our very successful boys lacrosse program. He was also a stellar example of what a student athlete should be, both on and off the field. So, although he's not here with us today, I'll be mailing him his plaque. I certainly at least wanted to acknowledge one of our 2000 class inductees, Brian Cook. For our next inductee, I turn to Neil Burke. Neil Burke is a member of our Hall of Fame already as an athlete and a coach. And I asked Neil, who's at the top of your list when it comes to baseball players? His response was Joe Barabee. He was the best power hitter I ever coached. Enough said. It is my pleasure to introduce Joe Barabee.
Thank you, Coach Burke. Mr. Leonard, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. We were neighbors. And if I knew you were going to wear your hat, I would have worn my 1990 football jacket. It doesn't fit me well. Tommy Boy reference, if anybody that remembers that movie. Yeah, Joe Henry, yes. My mom would say, it's not Joseph, but that's my dad's name, but I'm Joe Henry. I did graduate in 1990. I played 3 sports, all 4 years, football, basketball, and baseball. But first, if I get into and I'll try to be brief as possible because I do not like to speak in public. Thank you to Fran Winton, Rob Berger, and the rest of the Hall of Fame committee, the Athletic Council, for my induction into the Hall of Fame. I'd also like to thank my family, my mom, Carol, my 2 sisters, Barbara and Debbie, my wife, Heather, and my 2 sons, Benjamin and Cooper. I'd also like to take this time to congratulate the fellow inductees on their enshrinement today as well. It's a great honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for the class of 2017. I saw this email. I talked to Fran yesterday at the game, and he's like, hey, don't forget you got to speak. And I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah, I got to speak. And last night I was sitting home. We were watching football, and my wife's like, where's your speech? I'm like, well, I got like 3 words written. So off I went up, and I spent, because I had notes, but I had them in my head. I had them written down. So I was watching football and writing my speech. And then I came down to check it out, and she was asleep. And then my boys didn't want to hear it because they wanted to hear it for the first time today. So hopefully all goes well. But as I reflect back and I started to think about my time at Algonquin and playing sports, there was common themes around just my experience as well as the coaching. You're going to probably hear a lot about the coaching and my teammates. And when I look back, from when I was a wide-eyed freshman after my 2 sisters have already, come through the halls, and to when I was a senior year, there was a consistent theme, and that was sports. I always was playing a sport, whether it was soccer before high school or football, basketball, baseball, tennis. It didn't matter if there was sports, I was usually playing it. And that's where I was most comfortable. I wasn't the most outgoing, most popular person in my class. But that didn't matter in sports because when you play, you just play. And if you're good, you're good. If you're not, it doesn't matter. You have a team. And that's really one of the key themes that I took away was the teamwork from playing from the different teams and the different sports. It's how I communicated. After a big game, unfortunately, Griff, I know things didn't turn out as well as you probably planned yesterday. But even so, you talk about it with your the class, your teammates, your students in your classrooms, or even teachers. I remember Mr. Ferris. Every Monday after football, he would come in. I'd have his class for history when we weren't watching videos, and he'd ask me about football, how the football game went, how'd we do, whether we won or lost, especially after Westboro games. But that's where I was most comfortable. To me, that's you know, looking back and talking to my teammates, you know, that's where I got a lot of my enjoyment out of it. Obviously, practicing and playing was you put all that time in for the games and winning and losing. But that's really where I enjoyed, is being on the field, being with my teammates. Athletics kept me out of trouble. Not that I'm a troublemaker, but I didn't have time. I was always playing sports. I started football. Football ended, I go right into basketball. Go after basketball, I go right into baseball. I didn't have time to get in trouble. That's all I did. Well, I did do a little schoolwork. I tried to squeeze that in between my seasons. But then I think, you know, the other area is around competitiveness. You know, if you talk to my family, I'm pretty competitive. I don't like to lose. And I think playing at Algonquin, playing all the different sports, playing against Westboro. Is Westboro still the rival? Is that? I hate Westboro. I had I'm like Fran, I'm going a little off script here, but my son, Ben, he's a junior now in Grafton, but back in 8th grade, we didn't have an 8th grade youth football team, so he wanted to play, so we had to figure out a place to play, you know, where he wanted to play, and there were a couple other players going to Westboro. So my son, as an 8th grade, had to go be a ranger, and I had to go to a game and support him. So I supported him, not necessarily the team. I did support the team, but it was tough, you know, cheering on and going to Westboro home field, being, you know, from Algonquin. And I even told the coach that. I go, I'm really torn here because I don't really like you guys. But be that as it may. You know, there is a sense, though, as that, you know, I make a joke about that, but, you know, playing for high school, you get a sense of pride playing for the school and also for Northborough, Southborough, and that's really something else I enjoyed. We represented the town. So being back on the football field yesterday really was the first time I must apologize. It's been a while since I've been back to the school. And I just want to know, can I get a tour? Because it's huge. And I mean, when I was walking to the field, I followed directions and I went over there where the old H2, I don't know if anybody remembers H2, I'm probably dating myself, but I went the backside and I was walking by and all these beautiful fields. Where the softball field is, that's where the baseball field was. Great, Coach? We didn't even have a fence. We had a zip line going through the right field. We had the little field behind the home plate where we used to run up through to go to the football field, and that's where baseballs went to die because no one wanted to go and get poison ivy and all whatever was in there. So it brought back a lot of memories. I remember practicing on Saturday mornings, being the only ones at school for basketball. Running in the gym and having Coach Phillips just run sprints, killer sprints, suicides, when he wasn't happy, which was most of the time. I remember baseball, when it was raining outside. We'd have to go inside and pull in all those nets. You know, the nets, I don't know if they still do this now, but again, probably dating myself. We'd have to pull all the batting cages. And it took us like 20 minutes, and then we'd hit in there, and then we'd have a small space, and then we'd have sliding drills. I think Coach did that on purpose. Because you ever tried to slide on a basketball court in shorts, you learned how to slide pretty correctly, because if you didn't, you had raspberries on your legs. And we had some people with some big raspberries trying to slide on the basketball court. There was one, you know, so those memories started coming back to me. There was also the hill. I don't know, Coach. I know, you know, I had some fortunate of having some great coaches. So I had Coach Kronoff when I was younger, Coach Raymond, Coach Burke for football, Coach Phillips for basketball, and then Coach Burke again for baseball. But I still remember that hill in football where we'd have to run up, and now it's nice and level, but oh, that was the worst, running up those hills. But, you know, some of the other things that came back when I was walking through playing, you know, baseball, I was fortunate enough to play, you know, after Algonquin. I went to play, you know, in college, Division II school, and then I got drafted by Seattle, the Seattle Mariners, in the 24th round back in 1993. So it's, again, seems like eons ago. And I was about a couple hundred picks behind Alex Rodriguez. He was my claim to fame. I was drafted the same year Alex went #1 overall. But I remember you started thinking about all those things. You know, one of the things that, Coach, I don't know if you remember, but St. John's game, we were playing at St. John's, and St. John's, as they are today, a powerhouse. And we've lost 7-6. to that game. We were winning the whole game, and 6-0. I think I kicked 2 field goals that game. We were up 6-0 in the fourth quarter, and we were coming back, and you were stopping Vin D'Amato, I think was the running back, if I remember correctly. And all of a sudden, he just breaks one. And I was playing safety. I came up and I whiffed. I missed him. And they ended up scoring and ended up kicking. It still hurts me to this day because I drive by that field in Shrewsbury, going down that hill, and I see that field, and I still get annoyed that I missed that tackle. And that's all because of, the times that I've had here at Algonquin Regional High School and playing for the coaches and playing for my team. We obviously want to always win every game. We can't always win every game. I know back when I played Westboro, I think we were 1-3 or 2-2. I can't remember. But Griff, I know next year you're going to go to their place and kick their ass, right? No pressure, but you got to deliver on that. Talk to the other coaches, because nothing is better than beating Westboro. Did I say that already? But I'll wrap it up here. As what I took most, from was the friendships from my teammates, my coaching, and just the camaraderie with the school. I think athletics allows you to do that. The coaches helped me push me athletically, and provide me the direction to excel. It's pretty unique when you play sports. You talk to your former teammates or friends, and you can instantly go back to that game in St. John's and talk, almost like it happened yesterday. Or if it's you feel like that, you could go back out there and do it again. But as I mentioned, in my initial email back when Mr. Scott, where I know I saw you today, he sent me the email saying that was being looked at for an induction. I replied to him that was a tremendous honor, and playing sports at the Reg was a really great experience for me. I really appreciated all the time, and I enjoyed the games, win or lose, my coaches and teammates, and certainly will never forget them. So thanks again. Thank you, Fran, Rob, and the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. We have that pretty strong Westboro connection going here. Our football staff, half of them are from Westboro, including myself. But don't worry, I root for Algonquin too. Our next inductee was in great part responsible for putting 2 of our women's sports teams on the map. Both our field hockey program and our women's hockey program rose to prominence in central Massachusetts. Liz Holmes also went on to have a very successful collegiate career. One quick thing, when I called Liz to tell us she got into the Hall of Fame, we're on the phone, and she's like, Mr. Whitten, I think I have to go. Liz, you all right? Yeah, but I'm heading into customs, and I don't think I can talk on my phone. Click. And I'm thinking to myself, I just got my first Hall of Fame inductee arrested. But clearly, she made it through customs okay. She's here with us today. And along with our other inductees, Liz is another wonderful example of how participating in athletics can shape a person's life. So please welcome Ms. Liz Holmes to the class of 2017.
Wow. I just wanted to say thank you to a few people. First, the Hall of Fame committee, all the volunteers today, the catering. When Mr. Whitten called me, like he said, I was in customs on my way home from a flight. And like most flights home from a business trip, it was delayed. So I had a little extra time in the airport to really reflect on the Hall of Fame induction and what it meant. And the more I thought about my time at Algonquin, the more I realized how big of an impact it actually did have on my life post-graduation in college and now in the workforce. I did get recruited to play field hockey in college at Babson. But what a lot of people don't know is I had never picked up a field hockey stick before freshman year tryouts at Algonquin. And it's people like Coach Dan Welsey and Coach Nancy Hart who were able to see the potential in me and took all the extra time to teach me the rules, teach me my technique, and develop me into a recruitable player to allow me to go on and play in college. But aside from just people like my field hockey coaches getting me ready to be recruited, it was all my other sports that really helped me with character development so that I could succeed after high school, in college, and now in my career. Things like my ice hockey coaches nominating me as a rising sophomore to be a 3-year captain, when at the time I had no leadership skills and half the team was older than me. And they worked with me to bring together 4 different towns to get to playoffs for the first time in program history. And then people like Coach Healy, my lacrosse coach, who showed us having fun every day at practice and loving what you're doing brings out the best in your potential and your performance, and letting us go on to state finals. So all these memories, like everyone said, all these fond memories of high school and sports have really made such a profound impact. And I can't thank everyone enough. I know as a 17-year-old I didn't say thank you enough, so I just wanted to say now, especially to Mr. Witten, the entire athletic department that put in all the time behind the scenes to let us as athletes just be the center of attention. I thank you. I can't appreciate it enough, and it really has made such an impact on all of us. So thank you to all the coaches, my family for being here and being so supportive. I just can't say thank you enough.
We have a very unique scenario this year for an appropriately unique pair of young men. The Cooley boys brought home 2 state championships in soccer in 2004 and 2005. Michael, who all I heard about was this kid in the 8th grade that was going to be the best football player ever to set foot on the field, that suddenly as a 9th grader fell under the spell of head coach John Frederick and instead became the greatest predator to have graced the soccer pitch here at Algonquin. Then along comes his younger brother Bobby, who is the fiercest competitor I have ever seen. The reason we won this championship in 2005 was because Bobby's teammates were afraid not to. This success also came at what was a very difficult time for all of us with the tragic loss of the Murphy sisters. As the chant Michael and Bobby's brother David started at games, "We have angels," became the rallying point for a team destined for success. Please welcome Michael and Bobby Cooley to our Hall of Fame.
All right. My brother Jim is not up here. I'm not sure why. I think he played football at Algonquin a while ago, but fantastic. All right, before I begin, I would like to thank and acknowledge Mr. Witten and Mr. Berger and the rest of the selection committee for their tireless efforts in organizing this event here today. I would also like to congratulate all the other nominees for being here today and his or her own outstanding accomplishments and the imprints they have left on Algonquin athletics. The first time I ever attended an Algonquin soccer game, I was in the 8th grade. I came to watch my older brother Michael play under the fall lights. I remember standing there from the bleachers in awe of the spectacle in front of me on that September night. After the game, I was asked by the coach, John Frederick, if I was going to be out on that field next year with my older brother. Bashfully and nervously, I told him I was going to try. And that's what I did. I tried. For the next 4 years of my life, I tried my best and dedicated everything to a school that shaped me and a sport that allowed me to attach myself to something bigger than just myself. As I stand in front of you today and reflect on what Algonquin has given me, I struggle to comprehend and wrap my head around how much the school and its athletics provided me a crutch when I needed it the most, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. As I give thought now to these moments and think of myself being selected into this Hall of Fame, I cannot help but to think about the teammates and coach who got me there. When word first came out about the nomination, I received a sort of heckling text message from one of my best friends and former teammates, TJ McManus. After initial ribbing was done and he stopped calling me old, he expressed how happy he was I had made it here today. I simply responded with the fact that it could have easily been him and not me, and that I wouldn't have been here without him or our team, or Stearnsy in the crowd right there. There is something to be said about a group of young men working together for a common, unique goal. At the time, I didn't realize what that is, and even today, I still don't have the exact answer or reason. All I know is that how fortunate I was to be a part of a team a part of something bigger, and a part of something good. I cannot step away from you today without acknowledging my former coach, John Frederick. I teach and coach today because of the value and impact I know John made on his students, players, and myself. When I am done with my career and step away for good, I will look back at the impact I've had on my own students and players, and if I have half the impact that I know John has had on his, I'll walk away thinking I've done something pretty special. I also need to recognize and thank my older brother, Michael. It is one of the greatest pleasures of my relatively young life to be able to play beside you, and I'm humbled to share this moment with you. And also my family, my parents and siblings, and my beautiful girlfriend, Shauna, who's videotaping, for their unconditional love and support. Thank you.
Bob wanted me to make fun of Corbett. Ryan, how you doing? Sorry there weren't any chicken patties. Fran said you can come back next week. Thank you so much for this honor. I'd like to thank the committee. It's a tremendous honor to be nominated. I'll try to keep this brief. Sometimes when I get a microphone in front of me, things can kind of get away, so I'll try to behave. Looking back at my first experience as a Algonquin soccer player, freshman, stepping onto the tryout field, I remember Coach Freddie throwing down a 5x5 square and asking me, 150-pound freshman, to get into that square with Kevin Chisna. I don't know if anyone knows who Kevin Chisna is, but he's about 200 pounds, and he looked like a bull. So I was a little nervous, but the goal of the drill was to essentially get by the defender, use agility and speed. I thought I had it in the bag. Next thing you know, I'm on my back, Chiz is with the ball running the other way, and I learned how to play Algonquin soccer. Very fortunate to start my career with Kevin Chisna, Brendan Furlow, Tom Marley. Those are three great guys. Did a lot of great things for the school. It really taught me and shaped me into the Algonquin T-Hawk throughout those 4 years. Very fortunate to play with some amazing players throughout those 4 years. TJ McManus, how you doing? Andrew Stearns is here as well, one of the most underrated goalies in Massachusetts. He unfortunately just had a tremendous defense in front of him, so he didn't really get a lot of action sometimes, but great player. Chris Cottons, another great player, but I think my senior year, Bob's junior year, that team was special. A lot of those, I'd probably say, 9 out of 11 starters have been probably playing with each other since we were U8, so very familiar with each other. Had a great time every time we made the playoffs, dyeing the hair. TJ, do you have the mohawk? Did you carve it? No. But always a great time making the playoffs, dyeing our hair, and then we'd celebrate, and TJ would rock a mohawk sporting Tomahawk Pride. So that was a really special team. Had a lot of great players. Matt Lanning, Rudy Cacandro, Mike Peeney, crazy Mike Peeney. I won't sit here and ramble everybody off, but it was a really special time, and like Bob said, we were kind of driven by our chief, Freddie, John Frederick. Frederick was a special guy. He would scream at you on the field if you did something wrong, then you'd walk by him talking to a girl, and he'd be ribbing you for the entire week. So being a teacher here at Algonquin, it was very difficult. You had to maneuver around Freddie's room so you wouldn't have to be hassled that day at practice. But Freddie really taught us how to move and swing as a unit, turned us to a real European style of soccer with our left and right back defenders swinging up, making runs. And a lot of times I caught myself just watching in awe of what a great team, great unit, moving the ball up and down the field. I think I'm forgetting someone. Oh, Bob. Yeah, not Elise. Playing with my brother Bob, being inducted with my brother Bob's a tremendous honor. Bob, as a center midfielder, was essentially the general out there on the pitch, controlling the ball, moving the ball, swinging left to right, up and down. Unfortunately, he had a nickname. Which one? All right. Yeah. Crossbar Bob. Bob didn't score a lot of goals, unfortunately, but hell, he hit a lot of crossbars. Yeah. But, all right, and I see I start rambling. This is what happens when I get a mic in front of me. But also I'd like to thank, my family and friends, all the support that you've given me throughout the years really kind of molded me and made me the man I am today. And Elise, thank you, my lovely girlfriend. Hi. But, all right, I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much. Tremendous honor. Thank you.
I was joking when I said 5 o'clock. I might have been right. Okay. Our next inductee, by far the best women's lacrosse player in school history. Had she chosen to focus on soccer or basketball, the other two sports she excelled at, she probably would have been the best at those two. Kylie O'Connell's work ethic and competitive spirit were unmatched, maybe even a little over the top at times, but certainly unmatched. Following her illustrious career here at Algonquin, Kylie went on to Oregon, where she continued to excel, and is now not only playing professionally, but as the head coach at the University of Lowell. We are so proud to be able to hold Kylie up as an example of what someone can accomplish with hard work and dedication to our current student athletes. Welcome, Hall of Famer Kylie O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Witten. I'll definitely try and keep mine short. So when I got the call from Mr. Witten, I was in the car going to work, and my first thought was, aren't you retired, Mr. Witten? Why are you calling me? So, and then it made me think of in high school, when I was actually in athletic council, he gave me and one other kid this task to find every Hall of Famer that had ever come through, and he was like, okay, go to the library and find them all. And so me and this girl are in the library with every yearbook from the past, I don't even know how many years, looking up these people. He was like, you gotta find out everything because I need to somehow contact them. So we're looking, we're like name, email, their address, their phone number. We're Googling people, finding their social security, like, no, I'm kidding. But it was cool actually, because we went through this process and looking at all these athletes made me realize how truly special it was to be part of such an extraordinary school and athletic department. How lucky we were to be surrounded by such great role models and people to look up to. But yeah, I just wanted to congratulate all of the other inductees of the class of 2017. It is such an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I wanted to thank all of the coaches throughout my life that pushed me so hard in soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. Thank you all the teachers, Mr. Witten, and the whole inductee committee who inducted me. Most importantly, thank you to my friends and family. I would definitely not be here without you guys today, and thank you so much for pushing me throughout my whole life with sports and just everything in general. Like Liz and some of you other people, I was able to play in college at the University of Oregon, which was such an amazing experience for me, and I think that going to Algonquin was such a great school, and the experience and the culture that we had here made me really realize how special that was at Oregon. And obviously now being able to coach and play professionally, I just could not have done this without all my teammates, my family, and everybody that was involved in my life. So thank you so much for pushing me through this spectacular experience that I've had. And I just want to thank you again, and go T-Hawks.
When I retired 5 years ago, that's the truth, I was asked, who are the greatest male and female athletes you saw during your time at Algonquin? It didn't take me long to say Dallas Mall. Dallas is in our Hall of Fame, class of 2007. Phenomenal, phenomenal athlete. He was my male. best female athlete to come through this school, Sarah Dahlstrom. Sarah's infectious smile, humble demeanor, and sheer athleticism make her stand out in comparison to others. What I enjoyed most about getting to know Sarah and watching her compete was that she enjoyed sport for the true essence of the game. Was she a hard worker and a fierce competitor? Of course she was. But win or lose, she enjoyed every moment of her experience with teammates, coaches, family, and friends. What I enjoyed most was when I called Sarah to tell her she had been inducted. First thing she was, "Are you kidding? Gosh, no, not me." But then it was, Mr. Whitten, I remember when I was on the athletic council, helping with the induction ceremony and watching those people, and now I'm one of them. I'm proud to welcome Sarah Dahlstrom to the Algonquin Regional High School Hall of Fame.
Oh, I didn't realize there were so many people here. So first of all, he was right. Back when I was on athletic council, it's kind of funny. He said, "Clear your schedule. I need all of you to help set up for the Hall of Fame induction." And as we were handing out the programs and everything, I just kept thinking, wow, how cool it is to be inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame here. They must feel pretty special. So first off, thanks to the committee and all the athletic council for inducting me, because it does feel pretty cool. I'd like to thank, this goes back, I'd like to thank Mr. McCabe, my second grade gym teacher, who has continued to support my athletic endeavors beyond just pillow polo in the gym throughout high school and college. Coach Bean, my Chaudier Middle School track coach, who always believed in me and supported me through all the early competitions like the Bay State Games in 8th grade. And Mr. LaChance, I think you guys all know that name out there. He's the mayor among young North Row and South Row athletes. He could make you feel like you won the gold medal at the Olympic Games just by handing you one of his beastie drawings. He's a perfect example of someone who enjoys everything that he does and smiles through it all. All of our following achievements would never have been made possible without you guys. And most importantly, they've remained some of our greatest family friends ever since. Sports has a funny way of doing that, introducing you to the most special people in the world and keeping them in your life. I'd also like to thank Coach Kim, Coach Moulton, Coach Taggart, and Coach Lemmerman for all their confidence in our high school soccer teams. That's all we needed to push through any type of game. They had such a special way of coaching, like reading us a poem about a girl who fell down and just kept getting back up, or my personal favorite, and this happened, promising to get state champs tattooed on their bodies if we had won. Their motivation and love for soccer trickled right down to all of us, and I can promise you that tattoo was fulfilled. Our state championships run and win will forever be one of the greatest memories I have. I was so lucky to be able to play alongside the hardest working and most fun group of girls. Thanks for teaching me to celebrate the small victories along the way, and thanks for proving to us that with hard work and belief that we could do it, anything can happen, including beating the undefeated, unscored upon, #1 ranked high school girls soccer team in the country at the time, Acton Boxborough, to bring back a state championship for Algonquin. Coach Jones and Coach Festino, who we all call Mel, were the greatest basketball duo that Algonquin girls basketball has ever seen. And I was lucky to get to play for them for 4 years. I learned a lot from these two, including the importance of being on time, and that I can attribute to my fear that Mel instilled in all of us that if we were even 1 minute late to practice, we'd run the ever-dreaded 16-line drill. Basketball seasons at the Gonk were some of the most fun and thrilling times. Through their hard work and leadership, Coach Jones and Mel led us further than any Algonquin girls basketball team had ever been. Our game at the DCU Center was one of my favorite memories. We beat the buzzer beater to send us into overtime off of an assist from Carly O. And I had never seen Coach Jones jump so high in my life. We had no individual superstars, but we all worked so hard for each other and were the epitome of what it means to be a team. I want to thank Coach Lisa Danielson and Coach Katie for the belief and expectation that our Algonquin girls track and field team was the best. Coach Lisa pushed me to do multi-events throughout high school, and as tiring as it was running from the high jump area down to the discus circle and make it back in time for the start of the hurdles, she taught me to be efficient, to be calm, and to compartmentalize every event. These lessons were critical to my college career where I competed in the pentathlon and heptathlon for Holy Cross. Track can sometimes be seen as an individual sport, but not at Algonquin. These girls were up for anything. They worked their hardest and pushed through any tough event just to get one more point on the leaderboard. We ran, jumped, or threw every event for each other, and it was amazing to be able to compete alongside such stellar athletes. I also want to thank Mr. Witten for pretty much everything. He was the glue to Algonquin sports, making sure everything ran smoothly, so all we had to do was show up and play. Mr. Witten has made Algonquin feel like a home to so many athletes, and I bet all the inductees here can agree. He was the best person to see in the hallways throughout the day, and all those banners in the gym are a testament to all he's done for our great school. Thank you for helping me make the transition from high school to college, and thanks for everything. There's two other very important people I want to thank real quick. I'd say all the athletic experiences I've ever been lucky enough to have experienced were made possible by my parents. So thanks to all of our moms and dads who often go unrecognized for all the things they've done for us. Without your pasta parties, your early morning wake-up calls, your carpooling, and your faces in the stands, we wouldn't have been able to achieve all we have achieved. So thanks everyone, and congrats to all the inductees. You should be very proud.
Our next inductee could be the poster person for what it means to be an Algonquin Hall of Famer. He was an outstanding three-sport athlete in his day, has been on our coaching staff for over 20 years, is a local police officer, and a loving husband and father. Bill Griffin is a model of integrity. The example he sets for others while a student athlete and continues to demonstrate as a coach, police officer, and family man has impacted more people than you could imagine. I know I have learned a great deal about character from Bill's example, and I am honored to be able to welcome Bill Griffin to our illustrious Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Mr. Witten. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you for the past 22 years. I'll cherish that forever. Really will. Thank you to the committee, Hall of Fame committee, for all your hard work you do for this program. To my family, coaches, friends, thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to come here today. It's true that it's not what you have in life, it's who you have in life, so thank you very much. Appreciate it. For the person that nominated me, I have an idea who it was. I'll also cherish that. Thank you. I'll pull out my speech here. Congratulations to the other 9 inductees. Well-deserved, and congratulations. A lot of people have heard about the Patriot Way and the way things are done. There's also a thing here called the T-Hawk Way. And the T-Hawk Way is very special. And the T-Hawk Way teaches core values to student athletes. And as far as teamwork, dedication, sacrifice, leadership, hard work, integrity, commitment, it's the T-Hawk Way. And those are core values that go beyond the playing field, and they go on to the student athletes' daily lives. And it's really important. One of the things I most admire about this program, the athletic program, is its wins and losses are very important, but good sportsmanship is a top priority, which is very admirable. Very proud of this honor. A T-Hawk for life, and thank you very much.
Last but not least, Caitlin Baker Gildhart, known as Bake to family and friends, I think, unless that's just what I happen to call her. But anyways, I met Katie my first year at Algonquin back in 1997. Katie's induction is unique in that she's being inducted both as an outstanding athlete for her participation in soccer and basketball, but also as a significant contributor. Bake was the first president of the inaugural Athletic Council and took that role seriously. It was Katie who said, Mr. Whitten, we need a Hall of Fame at Algonquin. People need to understand and recognize the proud tradition Algonquin has. Without her initiative, we would not be here today. It was also Katie who stepped up and led the movement to save the tomahawk as our school's logo. It was Katie's tireless efforts to excel in athletics while making a lasting contribution to the legacy of Algonquin that make her long overdue for induction into the Hall of Fame. Welcome, Bake.
Thank you, Mr. Whitten. When Fran called me to tell me I was getting inducted, I thought he was calling to tell me that his son, Fran, who I babysat when I was at Algonquin and babysat again with my husband 5 years ago when he was a baseball player in Old Orchard Beach, I thought he was calling to tell me him and his wife were pregnant. Well, needless to say, he was calling to tell me I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to thank the committee for the nomination, to some of my coaches who are here, Monica Grahowski in the back, Coach Callahan here in the front. Thanks to administrators, Fran certainly, Ms. Johnson, and my friends and family who are here today. Not a day goes by where I don't have a fond memory of my time here at Algonquin. Here at Algonquin, I made teammates who are lifelong friends, and lifelong friends with people like Fran and Sue, who have moved to Maine where I live and are good friends of my husband and I's. My time at Algonquin taught me to be a good teammate and a good leader, and those are skills I have carried into my job in marketing and to a career in coaching. Again, thankful for the nomination, and just say I'm proud to have been and always be a Tomahawk. Thank you.
I would like to now introduce our principal, Dr. Sarah Walsh, who is going to add a few words.
Good afternoon, because we are now in our afternoon part of our celebration. I wanted to start first by saying belated Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful holiday yesterday, and a warm thank you for all of you being here today. Thank you to our superintendent, central office, athletic council, Rob Berger, and Hall of Fame committee. Athletic director Whitten, who keeps saying he's retired, although I will not let him retire, and Ms. Burns for this fantastic event. As well as a huge thank you to our friends and family and community members for their unwavering support, because without them, we would not be the successes that we are known to be. Finally, thank you to our inductees. For they are the very reason we have gathered together at this glorious event. Our inductees define excellence. They inspire the play of the game in all of our hearts and have made their many dreams of athletics and beyond come true, as we witnessed today. As I stated in my letter to the inductees, many of us can run our hands along our trophy walls. We can hear our medals clank together with pride. But few of us can say we have been inducted to the Algonquin Regional High School Hall of Fame. It is with great pride and respect that I congratulate all of our inductees and their families on this outstanding accomplishment. Thank you and congratulations.
At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Robert Berger to please come forward.
What a great event. The smiling faces, the accomplishments that we discussed today, phenomenal. However, we have a mission, and that mission is to make a difference in every child's life. So I call on everyone here, not just the inductees, but all the family members, coaches, keep up the good work. We have to make a difference. We have to keep striving for our youth so they may be standing here one day making the speech. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. The athletic council members, they're our future. They're here in this room today. Look at them, smile at them, keep up the good work. So again, thank you to the committee. Susan, she's in that office every day, emails, text messages. Fran, they are the heartbeat of this program. Our administration, thank you. Again, to everybody here, thank you for being here. The inductees, congratulations, you deserve it. Thank you.
Well, this brings our ceremony to conclusion. I want to thank all of you for being here. I have to admit, it was worth coming out of retirement just for this day. I will be at the next one as a guest to watch. Susan will still be running it. But I would like the inductees to please remain on hand and come back up front so we can take a group picture. I also have the boxes that your plaques came in case you're traveling and you want to keep them protected. But most importantly, I do thank all of you for being here today. This is the best day. And if you can pick a day that's your favorite day at Algonquin, it's Hall of Fame induction day. Yeah, winning the state championship in boys and girls soccer was a close second, but it really has been a tremendous day. Thank you all for being part of it. Thank you everyone who contributed. Please enjoy the remainder of the weekend. If you're traveling, travel safely, and let's go T-Hawks. Thank you.